Oh, that's not the right here is first. You're on the second. Oh, I don't know, this isn't charged. Anyway, let me know when we are good to go.
Right. You will read that. Simplify local government. Good.
Maria, good morning, everybody, and welcome along to this short meeting at the front of our workshop day so that we can make some decisions and need to do. Councillor Patterson will start us off with a country.
Ori rau, ori tu, ori ora, kia tātou, haumai, hui tai.
Apologies this morning. I have an apology from Charlie. I put to move that. Somebody's looking at making Tracy to second that. All those in favour? Carried. Do you have anybody here for the public forum? You're always welcome to come along. So we'll move into the confirmation of the minutes from our last meeting, which begin on page 7. To move that those are accurate. Somebody happy with that? Thanks, Tracy. Any questions or comments on any of those? Those in favour? Declarations of interest begin on page 23. Is there anything people need updated in those? I know. And then we move to page 27 for our review. Welcome, Paul and Donna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will take the report as read because it is a fairly lengthy report. It is lengthy by necessity to encapsulate all of the discussions that you have had as a council through your workshops. I guess it's, I think that it offers the consultation items that you have talked about. And I'm happy to answer any questions or have the thing discussed.
We have been through a number of options and now we have resolution that contains 3, but it would be good to through whether people are comfortable with those and comfortable with the direction that we're travelling in, noting that this will be looking to send it out for a public consultation period. And then we will put in the effort to communicating with the public what it would mean for them. We really like talking about winners and losers, but this is a quintessential case of some people will pay less rates under all of these proposals and some people will pay more. And the idea is that it is creating a more fair and equitable system, but there will be a number of people who think it's fair and a number of people who think it's not fair, depending on the type of property they have, where it is, and what they use their property for. Are there any questions of the?
I just had one query, I guess, to put it on all the options where there's a differential on the commercial activity. So there's quite a few of them. I just want to ask, and it's the line that states, just let me bring it up. Yeah, it recognises income earning abilities of commercial properties to claim GST and tax deductibility on rates. It's listed as an advantage in the proposal. Yep. That doesn't sit very well with me because the rationale's misplaced there because GST deductibility and tax deductibility are a feature of the tax system, and those commercial properties aren't benefiting from a council decision, and we're reverse engineering it to make them to argue they should pay more because of it, and it's not actually anything to do with council, it's the tax system. So I guess it's been picked up by one media outlet, and I guess where I think next is when we prepare a consultation document, I think that's a poor justification, and at best it's poor rationale, at worst it risks being misinformation essentially.
Well, it's factual for a start.
Yeah, but it's not an advantage.
Well, I would disagree with you. You are trying to deliver an equitable, future-proofed and fair system.
Yeah.
There are certain parts of the rate-paying group who have that advantage that they can deduct those things. So effectively, if you compared option 2B, which treats everybody the same, with 4B2, which is the next one down, commercial activities actually do have an advantage that residentials don't. And what we're trying to do as a suggestion is rebalance that. So at the end of the day, the net impact is similar. So I would still consider that from the council's perspective as an advantage why you might want to do it.
Yeah, but then going back to your last workshop, the differentials had two things required of them as a rational policy basis. I think there's no rationale behind that because it's a function of the tax system and an identifiable objective around it. And there's no extra service or cost imposed on council from those commercial activities that you don't pick up by the general rate being levied on capital value alone. So I feel like we're trying to reverse engineer equity into the system, and this backdoor way of doing it. Look, have the two differential there as a consultation item, but I think that reason it has no rationale in my mind.
Well, yeah, I disagree in that respect because I do see that there is an inequity potentially in there.
Well, then to extrapolate that, if you were to go and buy a car and the car dealer says you're coming and you're a business owner and he puts the price up because you're a business owner because you can claim back the GST, like same thing. And where does that same as when you go and fill the car up at the petrol stations? Does the petrol station charge the business owner more because they can deduct it as an expense against their income? So I feel it's very poor, and I would have real reservations about that being in the consultation document.
In terms of the statement of proposal,
Yeah.
you will get to have a look at that in draft at the next, the 10th of July, Wayne, I think. It's the July workshop. There is I've got half a day scheduled for that, so you can we can nut that out at that point.
Yeah, I agree with Curtis. And the other part is that there is a significant number of commercial businesses operating out of homes, people, working from home, and it's a commercial business, and that's not going to be captured. So I'm not sure how this is going to, you're going to disincentivize businesses that are operating out of a premises. So I think, I don't see how this is. I just agree with Curtis, and I guess we'll see that at the workshop. But yeah, I just don't know how you're going to capture people working at home on that basis. And they will get the tax incentive by claiming all of those things, but we'll never know. So that's, it's not going to be an equitable system if you're going to apply it that way.
Well, at the end of the day, the council gets to make a call on whether it wants a 2 times multiplier or not. And I guess the council saw benefit in testing that with the ratepayers. I will say that rates are definitely a sledgehammer, as I've said before many times, to crack a walnut. We will not get 100% perfect system unless you're prepared to put the resources in We had this discussion around accommodation providers. It's exactly that argument of how do we capture and rate accommodation providers. Well, that does extend to home-based businesses, mechanics. You know, we have accountants who have home-based businesses, etc. So we can't necessarily capture all of those. And a statement in terms of it can be a general statement of the people that we know about have a benefit. The people we don't know about get a different benefit because they aren't being picked up on the ×2 multiplier. Having said that, we can word the whether you agree that it's an advantage or not, it's still a consideration because it is there. That is a fact. We can change how we word the statement of proposal, and the statement of proposal will be different to what the words are here. Absolutely.
Probably best just not to mention it at all because everybody will work it out for themselves, won't they?
I guess the other thing is that there has been a long-held view by government, and I think to be fair, the sector. Back in, I think, 1997, there was it might have been early 2000s, there was a report done and it was talking about rates affordability, and rates affordability for households was 5% of their average take home, their household income. So what we've tried to do is, one of the things that we're trying to do is move towards that, because that's well established, and to change that. Obviously, there's a ×2 multiplier that you've talked about. So, as I say, there's a lot of complexities in this, and I guess the answer is we don't necessarily have to use, the wording can be different, what I'm saying, but there is an advantage that some sectors have that others don't, and that was really what the ×2 multiplier would have or potentially could influence.
Yeah, and I guess where I come from is you don't tax inputs into businesses because it's distortionary and increases the cost of production. That's why we have a tax system that allows expense deductibility from your income, GST deductibility. And we're trying to reverse engineer that tax back into the rates. And what makes rates different from any other business expense is probably where I'm coming from. So fair, go out 2 times differential. But I think that statement there and that rationale reasoning is poorly placed when it comes to this conversation.
Does anybody want to talk through each of the options that we went through to give any feedback on why they are not one of our out of 3, or are you happy that that's been discussed in the public workshops that we've had thus far? I wonder, Paul, on the fly, because I've only just thought of it, so if you say no, it's not possible, that's fine, to have those graphs with everything stripped out except the 3 options, because all the graphs have all 13 options in them.
Yep. We could do that. I can't do that right now, but I can provide that information to you. And I suspect that that's where we would go with the statement of proposal, because when we're actually talking about the statement of proposal, we will mention that we talked about 13 options and we got down to 3, and these are the 3, and these are the impacts of the 3. We will only be ever talking about when we do the rates modelling for people when they can put their valuation numbers in online and come to the numbers. They will only be those 3 numbers. We won't have all of the other ones there.
And then they'll be able to see quite clearly on the
Yep.
graphs, because there are some quite substantial differences between whether you're in a residential property or a lifestyle property or a commercial property.
Yeah, so that's the plan is now, once you decide which options, we will then focus on those options.
Noting that this is going out for consultation and some of those options may be tweaked. So if people are looking at the calculator online and saying, why are my rates not $1,314.07? It's because might have been, it's a guide, the online calculators, as opposed to an exact figure of what your rates. Any other questions, comments on that at the moment? Otherwise, I'll ask Wayne to put up. Tracy, bless her, has attempted to humanise the resolutions so that they are written in a way that the general ratepayer can understand. But I'll have you check them, Paul, and make sure that you're still comfortable that they say what we are, what we believe they say.
And there's also, can we have in between B and C, just so that when somebody picks this up, if all of the people in the community want to pick this resolution up and it be super simple, the thought of the possibility of saying that as a new C that notes that the current uniform charge is 40.69% under Section 21 of the Rating Act. And so that's, I guess, just so that people know so we're saying that it's 30% going forward, but they might need to know where we've come from.
Okay.
It's just a note. It's just a point of note.
Do you want it to say notes that the current way is
just
40 point and that it is a legal requirement for it to be under 30%?
Currently, it's not 40. It will be when Three Waters goes. So you need to.
So whatever it is currently,
Yeah.
I picked that up from the papers. So just the just whatever that is, and just reference because the whole of this here. I mean, we know that we're talking about we talk about Section 21, and we know it's the Local Government Rating Act, but for somebody else who picks it up, Section 21 of what Act? So I'm just making sure that we've got that super clear for people to understand.
Yeah.
Do you want to and send it to you, Wayne, while
No.
oh, you've got it?
What was that number? 40
It may be just
That from next financial year.
that'll be
29.7, something like that, I think, right now.
So we can say from the 2020.
27, from 1 July 2027,
Yeah.
with the removal of Three Waters, it will be 40.69.
and that we're legally required to have it 30 or under, is it?
But you've got a 5-year period to do that.
Yeah.
Choosing to do one.
We're doing it often.
Goodness, we forgot.
Right. So that would be a new C, which is notes that the current uniform charges. I take out the word current. It's not current. It's that the uniform charge will be 2.69.
Just put approximately. Things do tend to change in rates.
That the uniform charge will be approximately 40.69 under Section 21 Local Government Rating Act from 1 July 2027, and that it should legally be under 30%.
Just
You put with the removal of 3 water
Post 3 waters.
post 3 waters goes out to 40.69%.
Yeah, yeah. So notes that the uniform charge will be
Not 3 waters.
approximately 4.69 post Southern Waters transition.
Yeah, Southern Waters, not 3 waters. Yes, people.
Go back on the Labour might get an even.
I think you could put a full stop and
Yeah.
then a capital U. Under section 21 of the Local Government Rating Act. And now we need to put the move to date, don't we? Yeah. That's it from 1 July.
Oh, crikey. Words.
And 21 of the Local Government Rating Act.
I'll stay out of all of this.
My God, stay quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it should stay out of this better.
Okay,
Legally.
and then we'll move on to the
No, should.
consultation options.
Do you have any reservation? I took out, just so that it's easy to understand, the specific option number that was in there. Because you know, you've got all the, like you say, the 13 options. Do you want to have a reference to what option that was?
That's what
It
we
would be
were,
helpful.
that's why we had that option 2B.
Yep,
and
which
2B.
I wondered that after I'd written this.
I think you could just put it
Can it be in
option one
brackets after
after status
brackets?
quo and then put in brackets what that is.
What it refers to, yeah.
Which is AP 2026-27B.
Given that there are 13 in there, that's why people can
Yep.
reference back to what the discussion was in the relevant.
27.
maps.
You actually should want base community grants.
So 2026-27B is to keep the current rating system unchanged, continue to base rates on land value with no changes to how rates are currently set or charged, increase the section 21 LG uniform annual general charge to 30% effective from 1 July.
Just around the use of the word increase, because we're at 40.6, aren't we dropping it, bringing it back to 30? So we're decreasing it, which means we're actually increasing the variable charge,
Yeah, but
decreasing the fixed charge.
adjusting, there's a good word, adjusting.
That's fine.
And when we say base rates on land value, land and capital, because we have some
The
splits. don't we?
the stuff that we're talking about is land value. We currently,
The general rate.
Do you
that's
have
why
any
we
that
have-
covers it?
we have the first statement, keep the current rating system unchanged, so that you could actually just not say anything else after that if you
Okay.
wanted to. You could actually say base the general rate, so point 2, continue to base the general rate on land value. That's the biggest change in terms of.
I suppose one of the big benefits of removing targeted rates is you're not going to have those people who say that they don't use the strength or don't use the library, so what should they be paying?
And I think we probably need to take out where it says no changes to how rates are currently set or charged. Do we want to take out or charged? Because people's rates will still move. So just how it's set. In adjusting section 21 to 30% again.
You can actually copy and paste that from both of the
Because it should say increase.
options below.
Then in option 2, do you need to the top bullet point, does it need to be change the basis of the general rate? Because all the other ones are,
Because you're going to be changing everything to the general rate. In that instance, with the exception of solid waste and water-based grants and promotions, those two will remain the same. Whereas everything else will go into the general rate with the UAGC on top.
So, beside option 2, capital value, it should say in brackets 2B.
Option 2B.
I put, yeah, option 2,
Option 2B.
because that's what we talk about in the body of the.
And the top one and the.
Yeah, yeah. Just to tie it back to the. You satisfied that that says what you think it should say? Or that it matches the.
Section. Yeah. Okay. Two. Yep.
And then option 3, capital value with a commercial differential is option 4B double I.
Two. Double I, sorry. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Added factor, or should it say as a added on a differential?
Don't use a differential on June, no.
I think it is.
Yeah. I think that's okay. This has only given us direction to go and prepare the statement of proposal, so we'll refine.
Janie, just for clarity, the factor does need to change to differential for both commercial and other rates. Differential rather than a factor.
Oh, so it's introduce a differential on the general rate. Does that cover it?
Yeah, I think that's okay. Introduce a differential on the general rate where commercial activities pay. Maybe it shouldn't be a factor, it should be a multiplier
Like,
of 2.
That's good, yeah.
And the same for the next one down. You want to say commercial activities defined by council? Because you get to say what that might be.
I think we probably should, because there's no definition of commercial activities. No. Commercial activities as defined by council pay.
So that.
Just add it to.
Yeah.
it could be interesting. From a,
Oh, yeah.
it's going to be a really interesting legal argument,
Yes,
that
it
one
would.
there.
Noting this is not set in stone, this is going for computation.
That's the whole purpose of this, is to put this out for people to discuss and input into.
So this will come back to us.
Come back to you at the end of July.
Yeah.
It's all formal.
Yeah.
Here's the statement of proposal. Here's the draft revenue and financing policy. Here's the draft funding needs analysis for you to adopt. Here are all of the rates, remission, postponement policies, etc. for formal adoption. We are looking at bringing, because there is a significant amount of documents there, we'll talk to you again in our July workshop where we'll have the morning. I think we've booked the whole morning for this, so that's where we can refine stuff before you get it to the council table.
What, do you have the date that this will go live to the public submissions to us?
We've got that in the workshop.
Yeah, we're pretty much ready to go after the July. What changes need to be made to it, but we'll be pretty much ready to go. And I'm looking at Paula, who may be kicking me under the table later on. But the proposal is we'll start late July after the council meeting and then go through to potentially early September for the consultation period. That'll be all of all.
You like an additional resolution that notes that it will come back to council for review prior to public release? Submissions.
Just noting that it could be one of those situations that we've had in the past where you might get those extra readings and you need to get it through to make sure it fits within the timeframes that these guys need.
What is it, the final statement?
Final
Proposal, that's what it's called. And supporting documentation.
prior to public. Prior to consultation. Yep. Happy that that gives you the steer for the next phase. In that case, have a mover and seconder, please. Thank you, Curtis and Bob. Any further discussion on that? Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
And that was the only item on our formal meeting for this morning, and the date of our next meeting is in a couple of weeks' time on the 24th June. And the formal meeting now ends, but you don't have to go anywhere because there's more, although if you're joining online, you may need to go across to a different, Wayne's even going to keep it running so that we can hold our workshops, which are also. And first up, interestingly, is comms and engagement on the rates review. So welcome, Eve, Gemma and Paul.
Dev's put together a selection of slides to talk you through what we're thinking about for this pre-engagement or early engagement and then moving into that consultation process. And we would like your feedback on some things, got some questions for you throughout.
So Wayne, I've got the doodah in. Is it coming? Oh, there it is. Excellent. So continuing on the conversation that we've already been having about rates review, it falls on our team to sort out how we communicate this to the public. And might be a bit of
That image of it going up.
Yeah.
Get rid of
that for a start.
Here, I'll flip fast. You didn't see that.
That's high blood pressure.
Yes.
That's all right.
That's the public support.
Good spin.
Yeah.
I don't care rest of the time, make it flat.
Line in, we will be.
These are the objectives for our team, which is potentially a little bit different from other teams. So one of the big challenges that we have, and Tracy, you were addressing it just now, we're trying to
reword that resolution so that it makes sense. And I love seeing that because that's what we're all trying to do with this rates review, is to try and take really complicated things and boil them down in a way that we can make sense of them. We're not experts on this in our team, and so we're good guinea pigs for this project. We figure if we can understand it, then hopefully other people can. So that plain language is a real critical piece, but also working with Paul to make sure that it's technically correct, which is also sort of the back and forth that we were having this morning between Tracy and Paul. People know that it's happening, and this is important, and we're going to start doing this pretty quickly because we want people to have time to think about it and learn about it, because it's a little bit dry, to be honest, but it does affect people in a really important way. And so people are going to be interested in the outcome of it, but maybe not interested in the process. And that's a bit of a danger for us because we need them involved in the process so that we understand the outcome. We want to have people have opportunities to participate, different kinds of opportunities. We threw a new question in the resident survey this year that asked people how do they want to be involved with council. And just at a preliminary glance, I can see the Let's Talk surveys going quite high. Of course, that's on a Let's Talk survey, so it's probably a little bit of a slant there, but we know a lot of people like those online surveys. And so of course we will be doing that. That's an easy way for us to gauge what people think about the different options that we're presenting, but we want to have other ways for them to participate as well. And so we'll ask for your feedback in just a minute about different ways that we can do that. We also want to make clear that that feedback has the potential to change and influence decisions. So we don't want to get into a situation where there's a sense that it's predetermined or the decision's already been made. And we know that's not the case because things are fluid and they're changing every time you guys meet. There's new changes and proposals and different options, and they'll end up being probably some kind of hybrid as a result of public feedback. And that would be normal. That's typical of what would happen. And then finally, we want to make sure that we meet our legal obligations so that the engagement document has what it's meant to have and that the Let's Talk page has all the appropriate legal requirements there. So that's quite important. And we rely on Paul and other experts really to make sure that we do that. So we've broken this down into 4 phases. The first phase is what we've been involved in. You've been involved in it for a longer period of time than what I have, that research and development. So that's up until now, sort of figuring out what are our options, how does it work, all those details. So that's that first bit. And then phase 2 is early engagements, which is going to start pretty soon. And that's you guys talking to stakeholders and sort of key groups and organizations, people that we think are going to be impacted the most. And then the consultation phase is that broader community consultation where we bring everyone in. And then finally that deliberation phase. And then the role that our team will have in that is in informing people after the fact and following back up with everyone who's participating. So I've just gone through some of these. I won't spend much time on this. We know that there's a lot to learn in this. I mean, probably 6 months ago, I couldn't tell you what a differential was or LV, CV, and now I'm typing on a slide like it makes sense. So, it's a learning process for all of us, and we have to appreciate that the public's going to be going through that same learning process. So we got to back up a little bit to remember where we were whenever we started talking about this. So deciphering, between all these important details, what are the key ones that people really need to understand to be able to participate? And the graphic design is on its way. So we should have that done by the end of the week. So you'll have a look at what we're looking at there. So from our team, the kind of things that we're doing behind the scenes to support this project is a framing document for you guys, which we will have done very soon. hopefully today, but maybe tomorrow. So very soon you'll be receiving an email with that. And we're hoping that that document will help you to have conversations with people that you're going to be talking to, individuals, groups, key stakeholders, to kind of help frame the key messages. Why are we doing it? Why are we doing it now? That way we're talking from the same sheet. Similar messages there.
Key stakeholders and affected party are all the same thing, aren't they?
Well, probably everyone's
like
going to
that.
be affected. I think it's just the amount. I think some are going to be affected a lot more than others. And I think it's those that are going to be affected quite significantly are in that early stage where we need to let them know, FYI, this is coming. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but there could be some really big impacts for your organization, for your company. So those might be some tough conversations.
Yeah, and I think the important part is, and this is what you said right at the start, is that, and I'm picking this is what the 99.99% of people are going to do, is they're going to be solely focused on the last number. And I think there needs to be a page right at the start of that document, however it looks, why this matters more than your money. There's going to have to be a real catchy something. So why does this matter more than just the bottom line? And because it's going to be really hard for a lot of people to get past that. They're going to go straight to the calculator and miss the important part. Because I know that human beings, that's what we're going to do. Go straight to your calculator.
One thing, and that the start of that conversation is we're not generating any more pie.
Yeah.
Just cutting the pie up differently, because the majority of people, and I'll be sexist here and say males in the household wouldn't have a clue what their rate bill is. When they see a figure, they go, it's always too dear, because someone else is probably doing a lot of their business work. No, in our business is exactly what happens. So I think it's just, this is not going to change the outcome of the take. It's going to change out how the take is done. And if you can have that in a cartoon format, there's got 3 dog biscuits and you got 3 dogs, they're all going to get the dog biscuit. But if some of the bigger dog gets a bigger biscuit, I don't know.
And the registration.
But I mean, it's majority of it, and otherwise you do exactly what Tracy says. They'll go straight to, my rates have gone down. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, my rates have gone up, or they stayed the same. I think as long as they realise that we're not after another chasing you for more, we're just making it more equitable as we see it, or as you see it, or how it comes up. And it may not be, they may not set equal.
100%. I think that's a real challenge, is getting that across early on, is that this isn't LTP. We're not talking about increasing and decreasing rates. We're talking about how it's, and I think visual imagery will help communicate.
Well, I was on the radio this morning and I got asked that same question. And I said, well, at the end of the day, we're not asking for more money, but we're going to make sure that it's more equitable for everyone. And whether that's right or wrong, that's a decision we make.
So in terms of meeting our legal obligations, this is part of what this list of meetings is about. So we're going to be documenting the different meetings that happen, just so that we're sure that we're communicating with the right people at the right time. And so Rachel Turner is going to be helping to manage that. So Tracy can talk about how that's going to be done, but we are going to keep track. Doesn't mean if you have a conversation in the grocery store, you've got to document that, just to do the more formal.
Can I just jump in? Sorry, Deb. That's really important for us to say, hey, when you've gone to the bowling club meeting, all that we've got a record of that. So, and if this was to be contested 6 months' time, we can go, actually, we did talk to people. People were aware, they were made aware. If they chose not to get involved, that is their choice. But if they weren't aware, that's a different conversation. So we really need to work hard in this pre-engagement phase just to raise awareness. And it doesn't mean we're answering all the questions. It's just going, hey, this is coming, hold. And if you've got questions, great, wait, because we'll be able to really hit this once we've got our consultation document ready.
That's going to be the next thing. The moment you start talking about it, people are going to ask you a question, 100%. And we need to be equipped with some of the answers. But you're not always necessarily going to have all the answers, but you should be able to find the answers.
And part of building our FAQs will be the FAQs that will help us to understand what the questions are. So we want that to be a sort of an organic thing.
In terms of getting that information to Rachel, you'd be happy if people mail her, then she can collate it. So if you're talking to John at the supermarket, it's fine. But if you've told everyone at Fire Brigade training that they should hop online, then just send Rachel an email saying, on Thursday, I spoke to 30 people at Fire Brigade training and told them to check it out. Yeah.
Just real simple and easy, nothing super time
Two of them
consuming.
listen to Fire Brigade.
FAQs, you have like some of the QR code that links through to it.
Yes.
So we can use that.
Yeah.
So it's an easy.
Red scan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, you guys are fine as you listen to this guy.
And if anybody's wanting to run a presentation in their own workplace about it, should they see you for a PowerPoint deck?
Good problem. The Let's Talk page, which you guys are familiar with, there'll
probably
be
should.
all the important official documents there, but the FAQs, which we've already talked about, are going to be really important. The page isn't even live and there's 4 or 5 sitting there right now. I expect that to expand quite exponentially. So as Paula mentioned, when you guys hear questions that you either can't answer really quickly, or maybe you're having trouble answering, either way, let us know. And so we can put that, because if you're hearing it, someone else is thinking it. So we'll put those there. We'll also give it to customer services, because they're going to receive a lot of calls and they're going to be stuck in the same position. So we work with them. And the rates calculators is not our thing to organize, but it is our thing to make accessible. So that'll be on Let's Talk, and we'll be promoting that as well. We don't want them to go straight to the rates calculator, but it is a piece of the puzzle. We can't pretend it's not important.
Is there any way, and I'm being a little cheeky here, that you, when you go to get the, like you come onto a page to find the information so you can get to the calculator, that you have to flick past, at the very least, flick past the 2, 3, 4 pages to get to that specific calculators to see?
What I was going to make it, what does a calculator need to be at the start of this process? Because we're asking, like, if otherwise, exactly Tracy's point will be the determining factor will be the calculator, not the understanding of the policy.
Well, it won't be in the early engagement because it's not possible.
Developed yet.
But during the normal engagement, I think there will be an expectation that it be there. I mean, ultimately, that's probably a decision that you guys could make. If you wanted to not have it there, I would
Because really-
guess that would be not
A
popular.
real risk is that everything else you're trying to do is superseded because someone will jump on the calculator and go, oh, it's good as gold, I don't care. So they're not going to talk to us.
What we're hearing is that if it is there, it's at the bottom.
Absolutely. Or even into the second stage of the discussion or the consultation or whatever we do, closer to the decision making, because it'll mask it.
The engagement won't be there.
The engagement may be there once they see if it may be effective or whatever. So have it, I wouldn't even have it till towards the end third of the discussion or the consultation or how we go, because it will mask the decision making.
I guess I would just be cautious about withholding information and what that might look like. I guess it's a balance between wanting to manage the conversation so that there isn't that distraction, but also being transparent about.
The consultation is open, all the information has to be there, calculators, the whole lot. You can't not have part of the information. What I'm saying is that you have a button you have to click. So at least something might jump out at your face if you're online, or if you've got a paper copy, you've got to flick the pages to get to something that you can find at the end. That's a really, that's a tech question that's well beyond my pay grade.
I'm not sure if that's possible.
Yeah.
Paul,
If we don't put the calculator as part of the engagement, I will not be able to have enough staff in this organisation to answer the phone calls we get saying how does it impact me? Because people will, as you've said, they will naturally react to that. So
Yeah.
I think it will be there for the consultation period, whether it's there earlier or, but we will.
Then it's like the focus to be initially on why the change has been made, why the whole process has been undertaken to benefit the community, not necessarily you as individuals. That's the big part of it. And then here's your calculator.
Yeah.
But it's human nature to only want to know what it's going to affect you, because if you can't afford your rates this year, you want to make sure before we talk about any of this that you can still. So the engagement is probably, like, if we're going for an option that is majority residential, let's say, are the, much of a muchness, it's that explaining the why to the people that are going to be really affected, but also the why not you. Like, this is how we're trying to make it actual, because we do, like, I think the conversation around the table has been about keeping families in their houses affordable is a really big thing for this council, isn't it? Like, we acknowledge
As well
that,
as businesses
it is
operating
getting
and
but there's
being able to
two,
operate.
yeah, but like,
Can't have one
how are
without the other.
they, yeah, and that's what I mean, like, you've got to,
Yes.
how can we keep them, because that's what people, that's the engagement you hear, is the people that can't afford it. We won't hear anything from the people that go on there and go, I've just saved $100 a year.
Yeah.
They will be silent. You won't get a thank you or a we understand or a,
That's why
this is
we're
awesome.
the results of
We've only got to look at
Right.
the negative. So we've got to balance that with something reasoning. It's like you say, if you don't have one, you don't have the other. We've got to balance those better. So explaining that is probably, because we won't hear anything from people that expect a massive raise and have been banging away on Facebook for months about everybody else's rate rises and how we're all terrible people and we're all taking a cut. And then all of a sudden they'll do it and go, oh, that's it, that's okay. Silence.
Do you think there's going to be much feedback on it though?
100%,
100%.
but maybe not from the people that have been so far. Is the
It'll be a
difference.
different group of people coming at the end of the table.
Yeah.
I assure you of that.
I don't think
Um,
it's
so
a big
let's get-
deal as you think it is.
All right, well, we'll
Well,
find out.
Let's see what happens.
If I were a gambler, all
I
of
think it's
that.
important to highlight it's consultation, it's not a referendum as well. You know,
Oh,
because
God, don't
as
touch
we get-
Martin's line.
we get hung out to
Quite
dry.
good.
If we don't go with the popular opinion, and the popular opinion will be the right one and the lens of.
But popular opinion is
equitable
only the people
fairness.
that feel
Yeah.
unjust.
And
That's
to
what I'm
your
saying.
point, that the
Yeah.
people that don't say anything,
Yeah.
but are quite happy with it, won't be represented, so.
Popular opinion is the noise. It's not necessarily the over the whole
Mm.
population, what people think. Because you don't have that silent majority.
I mean, I think with engagement, it's always challenging because you want to hear people's voice, but inevitably people will then say, we told you, but you didn't listen. But of course, we're hearing from lots of different voices. And so, and the public voice is an important one, but it is one tool.
Mhm.
There are lots of tools that you guys are using to make decisions, and that's a piece of it, but it's not everything. And so, yeah, that's,
Where I come from, you hear their voice loud and clear. But it may not be on an online platform or in a format that.
You filter it.
Pardon?
You filter it for us.
That's what
We used to be a young environment like young Curtis here.
the dust won't settle on White Sow Road, everyone come and see you.
So different opportunities for hearing from the public. We were just talking about hearing them, and Stu, you may hear from them in different ways. So how are we going to communicate this and let people know it's happening and hear back from them? So these are all the different options that we intend to do. And then I've got a box there that says, what else? Are we missing something that you think would suit your particular community that we don't typically do? If you think of something after this conversation, just shoot me an email.
Was there something on the previous page about rates notices? Would it line
Yeah.
up with a
Yeah.
flyer in the rates notice?
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our intention is to have a flyer in the next rates and.
Sweet, yeah.
Yeah.
So go to the next page. So your information sessions
Yes.
would be like to add a drop-in session at the community house or the council chambers in Ranfilly or a coffee shop or.
Yeah, I think we could be creative with the location. I think sometimes we get a little bit stuck in going to the same place every time. So a bit of feedback from you guys about your own communities, about what might work would be helpful.
Well, I mean, I think, and we had one not long ago in Ranfilly, it was well supported in the council chambers for a lot of the day,
Yeah.
but going with the, catching up at a coffee shop with a couple of elected members or the mayor and elected members and one or two staff just to get it broad.
Yep.
Would probably be work, because you could do that probably twice as many times as one official drop-in centre.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we
actually-
can, I mean, if you guys are available, we're happy to support as many drop-in sessions as you guys feel are necessary that, within reason in your area. I think I think there will be a desire for a little bit of formality, because if everyone else is like me, it's a little bit hard to wrap your head around, honestly. And if you want people to be able to engage in an informed way, they probably need a little bit of framework for that. So I'm not the biggest fan of the old formal town hall sessions, but I think in this case that it probably makes some sense. But I think that could be a quite a short part of it, and then sort of an open conversation and try and make it as less formal as possible. But those drop-ins, what you're talking about, Stu, I think would be really helpful.
Well, the one we had in the drop-in at Ranfurly, a lot of topics got picked up on. Because people came about different things, so that a few things, oh, well, that came out of it, and something else rolled out of it. So I guess it worked really well, and people are really happy to feel engaged in that format in our corner. But otherwise, you'd probably get a lot of information if Tamer went there with a coffee shop with myself and a couple of staff, and so like, well, you need to talk about here, or fill this format over there, because I think people engage differently in some of those communities.
Room for both, surely, I would have thought. But I'm intrigued to know what sort of form the survey would take.
Well, it hasn't taken any form at the moment because it hasn't been written, but I think that that's probably further than what we've got at the moment.
What we do know is that we hear that of the options that will be presented to the public, it's not going to be an A, B or C, tick a box. There'll be commentary. So we'll need to make sure that there's enough space for people to give you, decision makers, feedback on why they've chosen something or nuances they would love to see, because you'll need that. So it will be a tricky old survey to analyse, but you'll need that level of depth of information.
What the 1,000 cups of tea option, which there is quite a lot of that is one of the ones that,
Yeah,
ends up. You talked about, maybe when you go to a meeting with a whole lot of people because you're at the Lions or Rotary or something like that, that's quite a big grouping. But sometimes it's equally as important when you've gone and visited someone who doesn't belong to any group whatsoever, and they're out the back blocks and you've gone round to say good day just because you know that they don't form part of any other community groups. So I think any opportunity, I just would like, just maybe not when you're just having a quick 5-minute convo in the supermarket, but it is kind of important to make sure that you record. Yeah.
And you could put that, you probably don't need to put the people's names, but you could say I actually had 4 15-minute presentations over the farm gate as I was driving between my house and Oakdale.
Yeah.
and if we're looking for different places to go, we were thinking the other day that maybe being available right after school might capture the families, because that's a group that we kind of struggled to get because they're so busy. They're busy with the kids and the sports and the after school activity. So just think a bit creatively about where we might position ourselves so that we're accessible.
Don't sit outside New World because I go there every day.
What's interesting,
The free before, I think the first it would be, I'm one of those people, we do something every day. I don't have the capacity to take time off work to come and have a coffee with you to find out. I don't have an evening free to come to the presentation, but I want to know. I don't think you get enough information if you have to go and search for it. The being in your face is important, and early on to give you the opportunity to make time to go to that if you want to go to it. So I think that almost the pre-engagement, when you first get into this, being in the entrance to the supermarket, like they do with the sausage sizzling, with the raffles and whatever else, just saying this is coming. And you don't have to have the full works on display there, but you will capture everybody in that town over 3 or 4 sessions. Easy. And then just having it bold enough to say, this is coming. If you want more information, stop and yarn with us now, or we'll be able to engage with you on a one-on-one, or here's your elected member that you can contact, or, make a time with them, or we've got this presentation coming up in an evening.
I can see that Sarah will be very familiar. If we ask Carly really nicely, if there might be a spot at the pools
At the pool.
between 3
Yeah,
and
because I go
5.
there a few times a week too.
All the parents are.
Yeah, but we're the people that, they're the families that'll look, but they're probably business owners as well. It's really important. But if you don't get in early enough to tell them it's coming, then you just physically don't have the time to go to it. So that kind of thing would be really valuable, I think, just to
But I know from past experience, if you sit outside the supermarket for a couple of hours, you can capture a couple of hundred people quite easily.
And they'll go and tell somebody else and they'll tell
Exactly.
somebody else. And that's where that's a really simple but really effective. Like I think we saw that with the voting bins
Yeah.
when they went into the supermarket. And you said how much easier it was for people to go and drop a paper in because it's somewhere they go in. So get in there first.
Especially if you go on
It's
super.
reminding me of what.
Right, yeah,
Neil used to
3-day
say,
sale.
yellow T-shirts.
I found a yellow hat. We probably need to.
Yes, I remember the yellow t-shirts.
It's yellow, not your colour, Martin.
Yellow is definitely not my colour. I know, I've always jokingly say I do my best work in the supermarket, but I have to agree with Sarah because it is a great place for elected members to be and to talk to people. Happens all the time,
We're not asking people to go out of their way to find this. That's well, I think we're tone deaf and we say like, we're going to hold this presentation here and you need to come to us. That's where we miss the mark a lot. Like if you're somewhere they're going past and they can stop. So if you're saying come to the library at 5 o'clock, I haven't got time. It's not in the world. So I think that's, if we're going to make any change or any improvement to it, that's where they're going to be.
Very good feedback. Thanks.
Supermarkets be so inclined to give us permission to have this discussion?
Yeah, 100%.
Have to ask.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
different,
One of the propositions is we're going to impose a factor of 2. Yeah.
I think they might not want that.
But that gives them a great opportunity.
it gives them a great opportunity to have a chat to us.
Well, Shane's going to have something to say about that.
So what you're looking at now, it might be confusing because it's talking about a district that isn't ours. So these are samples from another council. So this is from Thames Four Randall. So totally ignore the numbers and the details on it. It's just a sample to sort of give you an idea of what we would like to do in our engagement document, because I think this really helps to bring it home to individuals. How will this affect specific groups of people? And have different profiles that hit the different key markets or, key groups of people in our community. So I like this idea and we would like to carry it through for the different models. So if you've got Jen on option 1, and then you can have Jen on option 2, you can have Jen on option 3 and kind of carry that through.
still feel happy for such an increase, to be fair. Big gross.
Yeah, they're very happy.
Jen looks very nonchalant for this.
It's just about what the consultation will actually look like. Most of this we've already talked about. We did have a conversation about online sessions versus a pre-recorded video that we wanted a little bit of feedback from you guys. I think there's different views about the value of the online session. There's probably different views about a recording. What do you guys think about those options?
Called in, I would say, be better information online. How many of us turn up generally, don't we? Unless
And
it's a tamer and you log in to make the numbers up. I think people are quite afraid of them in case you actually can identify them or they've been sent like they'll come in anonymously on those things and they'll listen, but you're gaining no more information than if it was pre-recorded and they can ask a question, like having a let's chat somewhere.
And the problem with those drop-in sessions, it's the same faces.
Yep.
And you get the same people coming and unfortunately you're preaching to the converted. That's why I think those casual sort of desk with a banner across the top of it, and dare I say t-shirts.
Your rates are changing and you've got to ask the question as to how or why or what.
Yeah,
No matter what colour you had, it would be challenging. Correct.
We'll go rainbow. We're all very inclusive here.
Yes. I prefer those informal ones, as opposed to those drop-in sessions because.
It humanises us as well.
Yeah.
Is there the opportunity for, if people don't want to be, like they are legitimately want to be anonymous, is there a way for them to ask a question anonymously? Because I look, I'm just thinking, like is there, but then of course you can't get a response, can you, if you want it anonymously?
No.
No, you can. They come up anonymously and then you can just answer it.
They have to have an email.
Oh, yeah.
They could ring you
Yeah.
from a blocked number, Tracy.
I don't answer those calls.
Don't get Nigerian Prince telling you.
I just say no.
Yes. On that same thing, one bit of feedback I was hoping to get from you guys and a bit of a steer on how to handle it is registration. So in the past, we have used registration for a couple of reasons. We've used it because it helps us to build a database, and then we then have permission to follow up with those participants on the things that they've indicated they're interested in. So if it's parks or if it's pools or if it's, and so it enables that two-way communication. We've also done it because there have been some concerns expressed around this table about authenticity of the data that we're getting and then whether or not one group or individual is sort of circumnavigating the process. But we do recognize that it poses a barrier. There are people who don't like to register, and our answer to that so far has been you can submit a hard copy submission, which we always accept. I just wanted to know where you guys wanted to land on this particular project.
Could we have, because we know registering is a barrier, and when people get to that page, they go, no. And it's quite a high percentage. Could we have, like when you're shopping online, log in, register, continue as guest? And you're putting in your name, but you're not having to set a password or put in any of that other stuff.
Well, we can set it so we don't have to have anything. And when we can just ask for that information, anyone can complete it. So that's what we did with the Name Our Place project with the Cornwall Memorial Hall. It was completely open that way. So we can do that. I don't think there's a capability to have that. If you're registered, go here, or if you're not, go there. I don't think it has that capability, but it's a choice. We can decide to do it one way or the other. I don't think we can shoot the middle.
Well, I'm actually against not having some form of registration. I 100% agree it's a barrier. However, when we have members of our community say, you didn't listen to the people and this was the majority, how do we actually know it is from the actual people that it did take the time to do it? How do we not, if it's not some kind of registration, how do we not know it's just them continually putting somebody else's, just doing it over and over again in order to achieve what they want?
Why not use property address? Why not your property address as your registration? Why not have the property address as a registration rather than names and emails and people just type in their property address and then?
Yeah, it's a totally different system.
But then it prevents your issue.
So we
It's
need,
anonymous.
we need that feedback loop, so we would need a contact details of property.
Well, the only way to do it is through registration.
I think, but that's only if you're hell bent on this feedback loop. So if you drop that down a bit.
And part of the feedback loop is to let people know the decisions made by council and give a description. So we have had feedback that people really value that, especially when the decision's made that maybe isn't what they thought I've told them. But there could be a bit of a backstory that we can say, this was a decision because of these reasons. And it's nice to be able to actually reach those people personally, thank them for their input.
Could we put that as a box at the end? If we were to remove the registration aspect from this, and that you don't need to be logged in, registered, and at the bottom there's do you want us to tell you what we decide? Put your email in here.
Yeah, and we have done that before. So yeah, we can do that. It's a choice, and it depends on what information, what information you want, how important it is. You can still make certain fields mandatory. So you could have it completely anonymous, so anyone can do it, but you'd have a mandatory, say, name or email or address or whatever that demographic information. Word, for example, is often something that you guys want to sort of see who's participating. So we can decide to make those fields mandatory without the registration process. It wouldn't stop people from doing it more than once, but
The one thinking about it is that in the early stages, you want people's input. You don't need to determine who you are, but in here, this is a deliberation. So if we want to take your point of view seriously, I need to know who you are. So I think it's two different things. You got, give me some ideas or some feedback. This is deliberation. I think we need to identify those people.
You know, using that online shopping example, you've always got that, you tick the box saying if you want to hear more. You've still got to put in all your details. And then you've got the option of saying, you know, subscribing. Do we do that?
Business.
And when
it's kind of
you
outside
sign
the
up
system.
for the registration, when you sign up on Let's Talk, you tick what things you'd be interested in. And so you could be interested in all of council stuff. You might say, I just want to be interested in planning. So we have that in the registration process. I think the barrier is actually having to register with council.
There's a diversion to it, you know, with Big Brother in many ways to the residents. And if registration is a way of stopping multiple people submitting, but the counter to that is it's not a referendum, it's a consultation process. So
Right, and
we still end up making the decisions.
The biggest pushback won't necessarily be from the householder.
No, it's from the power companies and businesses.
Well, businesses, I mean, but that's fine, though, and they will have an interest, and trust me, they will be motivated. So whichever format, if they want to have a say, they will have a say.
Federated Farmers will be making a submission. They always do, yeah,
They do.
and that's fine. That's
think it's
enough.
just, yeah, it's a philosophical sort of question about what's important for us. Is it the authenticity of the data? Is it the accessibility? And you lose something either way.
Just the thoughts, honestly, and I'm jumping ahead to the, probably the slide on this for the next part, is once we've gone through this consultation, then we've got hearings and, as in, because people are going to want to have that.
Yeah, so we'll ask that question. You know,
Sorry.
do you want to speak to your submission? And that'll be the standard part of the survey. And so if someone wants to speak to their submission, then they're going to have to identify themselves and provide contact details so that we can organize who they can speak.
It's huge.
And you're going to have the challenge of trying to explain some of those technical aspects like the loadings, you know, and putting that into sort of plain English. That's going to be, I mean, some of us around this table have struggled at grasping those, you know, we're finally, it's been beaten into us over numerous years, but putting that into layperson's language that they understand what those multipliers are is a real challenge because people need to know that.
We'll do our best. We're not experts, so
No,
we're the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
If we understand it and if we're reading things that don't make sense, then it probably that's the goal, is to make it understandable. Any consensus on that registration, no registration?
Do you want to have registration for this or no?
I'd rather the data was more robust and authentic than as a general guide.
Yep. It will be, and lots of them are already registered and it's just a matter of remembering the password.
I guess the other thing is that you can always put a link, so you don't have to register, you can print it off at home and put it in the post. So that doesn't require registration, if you want to do it anonymously like
Or
that.
just take it to a library or service center,
Yep.
and they'll have copies anyway, so we'll always have the hard copy option.
As long as also we have had problems in the past when people have registered and then they've gone back in and they can't get back on. So there has been that technical issue has happened.
Yeah, there has.
So we can like avoid that.
And we'll make sure there's contact details that people are having issues, they can come direct to staff.
So
We
if
can
they
deal with
just
that.
know that they can contact, so that if they are having problems, it can be faxed for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it from us. Any
Thank you very
questions? Or
when it comes to the FAQs for us as elected members, I had a conversation the other day with somebody who pointed out they were looking at the evaluations versus their rates demands going back 10 years. And valuation of the properties had gone X. but rates had gone Y. And it was quite a valuable comparison. And I just wonder, when you're doing those multipliers, the things, that could be quite handy, because the argument people are going to have with us is the ever increasing rates. But one of the counter arguments from us back that way is that your property values have gone that way. And has rates gone, is it parallel? My understanding it's not. But, and I did the comparison at home with what we've been paying, and it's, my property's gone up by something like 400% in the last decade. My rates haven't gone up that.
But the other argument to that is people say you can't eat your Woolworths.
True. Yeah, exactly. But it is. But you can sell it. Then
That's the challenge, right?
And I think that's a really good piece of information to counter that. Because we've always been accused of just basically we're putting up rates, and and we know it's the cost of doing business.
Best investment you've ever made in your life has probably moved to Central Otago with more rural communities in the South Island.
Yes.
And your rates haven't gone exponential, but your property is, but you've got to capitalise that, and I guess that's a hard part. But it's a savings account. It's as good as anything. Better than KiwiSaver. That's why living here and having beautiful brand new facilities that you can use.
Okay, you put me on the spot here. Diamond's just like. And we have.
Yeah.
The critical life lesson of swimming.
Yeah.
David always likes me to start with a pun. And I normally say, let's dive into it, but I couldn't think of anything more off the top of my head. So we're diving into it today. We just wait for the,
I know it.
You could have just freestyle it, I guess.
good.
Useful.
Got a presentation coming.
I think so, if the technology will.
Yeah.
Done the reassuring screen flash, but it's thinking about it.
Halfway there.
Which button is that?
Which button? And you can start talking through that and show that. Okay, let's jump in then. As you know, my name is Carly, and I've actually brought Alex along to help with this presentation because we do have some policy aspects to this coming up. At the start of the year, we came to you with a report about private swim schools, and it was kind of turning into a little bit of a workshop. So we've now got to our workshop part of the coaching and private swim schools. Thank you, David.
Table assistance.
Okay, so why are we here today? We would like to get clarity on how private swim schools use council pool space. Also, alongside our council programs, we can talk about balance for Learn to Swim, private swim schools, community, aquafit, all the programs and public that we have coming into the pool. We also need some feedback from you guys on how private swim schools use council pools and whether private swim schools are appropriate use of council pool space and where they sit in priority as well. And what we're presenting today, we're going to go through a little bit more of a deep dive on our current swim school. We've got our draft policy that we have created, and just letting you guys know the hierarchy is out of scope for today's discussion. Right, let's go a little bit of background. So we do not have a current council policy about how we manage private swim schools. We have one private swim school operating in Alex,
And we have a couple that operate in Ranfurly over the summer. We did have one in Cromwell, but we we no longer have a Cromwell private swim school. In the past 6 months, we've had two commercial operating requests to operate in all across all of our all of our facilities. And this is what's happening with our current swim school at the moment. So you can see over the past 5 years, our active enrollments have gone from 2,000 to nearly 2,500. Our income from Alex is 178 in Cromwell to 156K. And there is a bit of a difference in there as Alex has private swim school and Cromwell doesn't. So you can kind of see the difference in there as well.
That's the income just from the swim school.
Just swim school alone.
Yep.
Yep. And
Those are the numbers. It's gone from 1,500 enrollments to nearly 3,000 over 5 years.
this is what Cromwell Pool looks like. This is term 2. So this is what's happening right now. We have 100 swimming lessons per week at Cromwell Pool. We have 92 group lessons and 8 private lessons, and they run 6 days a week. Everything from baby to toddler to learn to swim, intermediate and adults and advanced swimming lessons. So that's a lot of lessons we've got going on at Cromwell Pool.
Let's go back one step. So on your income from that, so the costings is for the swim coaches only. It doesn't include the running of the pool
That's
included.
correct.
Just, yep.
Just the teachers.
So you're saying that in Alexandria, you generate 100K and it costs you 128 to do it?
Well, in there, we also have, that is our school swimming. So when the schools come in, so that has the teachers in there as well. So this isn't just our swim school, that's all the swim skills. So the schools that are coming in, we're still paying the teachers for that too.
So effectively, I guess so. And that number, 24, if I can read that, 25, how many say kids got swam?
3,000.
62.
Yep. It's across the district. Yeah.
Yeah, this is across the district and this is just our swim school. We also teach the schools as well, which is not in this number.
What do you get back from that? Because that's a.
The income's the school part as well, isn't it?
Oh, yes, that's correct. Yeah,
But the numbers aren't school kids.
yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Get my head around that. So that's all at the Alexandria Pool, it's all kids learning to swim? Including schools?
Schools do a 1 week program that's funded separately, so that's what that counts.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And,
They
but
were
it's,
1 week.
so it doesn't wash its face
I can't pull that data of which at the moment.
and it doesn't include private swim schools in that
No.
income.
No,
But does it include the fee they pay to use the pool?
no, it doesn't. That's rentals and hires.
Revenue from lessons
Yeah.
or teaching.
So I guess I'm saying that there's $7 a kid, the ratepayer subsidised to get swimming in Central Otago.
Yes and no, because you're going to have to combine those Cromwell figures and do a bit more math to get to that point.
I'm just saying, Alex, so I'm not a problem. I'm not saying it's a problem, but it's effectively, I mean, if that hadn't, it could come through the grants policy and it'd be neutral.
Yeah.
We do that in our one, we'd actually grants, the swimmers lessons is done out of the grants policy
Yeah.
of the regional. That's all
There
I'm
are
saying.
quite a lot of subsidised swimming lessons for schools that come from a national funding pot that pays for kids to learn to swim.
But Cromwell's the other way, isn't it? There's more people using Cromwell and it's cheaper to run.
Yes,
We put them together, they work out about neutral.
Yeah.
it is. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're,
Relationship
yeah.
ratio.
Where you going?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Is everyone happy with Cromwell?
So how come there's private stuff in the Cromwell one and then?
So this is like a private, it's not a group lesson, so we still run it, but it's just one child or it might be siblings. So it's in private as in not like 10 kids in one.
Not third parties.
No, private, yeah. So we're still running it.
Commercial for those.
I use the word commercial.
Yeah. And this is what Alex is looking like at term 2. So we have less lessons. We have 66 a week, 56 group lessons, 10 private lessons. Now, a private swim school provider is on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They're actually not this term because she's on leave.
Just for one, just Nathan's just so confused there. The commercial swim provider
Oh,
is
yeah.
on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Which other days?
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see on a Monday, we are the only providers and that's where we load as many lessons as that we can in on a Monday.
Saturday, you've got lessons.
Yeah, this is just this term. We do have lessons. We've had a couple of teachers off injured and things like that. So I've just taken a snapshot from what's happened like last week. And yeah, normally there's more lessons than on a Saturday.
I was there on Saturday.
Yeah, this is the.
You having a lesson?
Was that Dan? Is that Dan or all good?
No, there's quite a few lessons on Saturday.
Yeah, we've just kind of wrapped it back up. We had
Yeah.
our main teacher's been off for the term.
So is that 100 lessons a week for Cromwell? Was that just last week? Were they taking a snapshot of the same?
Yes, yep,
So last week, 100 lessons in Cromwell and
Yeah,
66
that's
now.
correct.
But it fluctuates significantly.
It does, depending on our teachers and,
Yeah.
and all sorts of things. But yeah, this is just a general snapshot of what was happening in our pools last week.
It's a pain though, that if you did take an average, Cromwell would have 20% more lessons than Alex. If you took an average across, so it is that facility from a lesson point of view has worked harder than Alexandra.
That would be relative to the demographics and the age of the two regions, though, wouldn't it not?
The other part that Carly's saying here is we don't have a private commercial swim school operating in Cromwell. And so that's probably where you're seeing that there are options here where there isn't in Cromwell. That's probably one of the key enablers, I'd say.
Yep. And there's an example that's happening is this term in Alex and next term, the commercial swim provider is actually not running lessons. We can't move into that space because she'll be back in term 4. So if we fill that space and then she comes back, then we've got no space to put the kids that we've had. But at the moment, we've got space there that we can't use because it's preempted for term 4. Yep.
But if you're a commercial operator and you didn't move into that space, that's just a commercial reality, isn't it?
Mm.
So if you book that space and I guess at the end of the day, if you're saying if you had any other business, if you exited your space, it could be picked up by another commercial operator, and or if the council can fill that, then that's, let's say, book it and pay for it. It'd be no different than booking a truckload of concrete. And if you didn't, not ready for it, you still got a truckload of concrete, haven't you?
She has a hire agreement for the 12 months for those certain lanes on those days.
So she still pays that regardless she's not there?
She doesn't pay for the term 2 or 3. She has that for the term 4. Yeah.
But she's got it locked down and we can't.
Yeah. So this is the balance with the commercial and us and that kind of thing as well. So it's a bit more complicated.
So
than-
she user pays, she only pays it if she uses it,
Yes,
but she holds a reservation.
yes, that's correct.
Is she charged for the reservation?
No, we don't.
It's just a
Commercial
fair
lease, if you went to lease a new hall facility in Cromwell and you used the facility for every day for every month for 12 months, you'd be paying the lease whether you had used the lease or not. If it was dancing, a pipe band or a whatever. So
I guess
why-
we can't do anything about the lease that is currently in existence, but it's a consideration for when a lease is renegotiated.
Understanding it.
And so swim schools, they run all the time, but I know the tadpoles are just running and running and running. So you can come into it any time of the year, it just repeats and repeats. Yeah, there's no scheduled time.
Yeah, there is scheduled times. It depends on the lessons and kids move up.
I mean, you don't always start tadpoles in January only. You
Oh,
can
no.
come at any time.
Yes, and times, yeah. So when a
Yeah,
new,
like 2 by 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
when you get a new enrollment, we do just see where the swimming ability is and then pop
Yeah.
them in whatever
Yeah,
they
I think it
need.
goes 4 terms a year.
Yeah. Now, we do have wait lists. So the commercial swim school has wait lists. We have wait lists. Wait lists, we get enrollments in every single week. It is a big juggling act. So you've got parents who can't go on certain days and they've got siblings that want to go on the same days and miss lessons. So there is wait lists and we're always working on getting it down, but it's a lot more complicated than just, we don't have room for you. Sometimes the parents and the families don't fit into what we're offering either. So it's a huge juggle with all those kids and all those lessons and the different levels. But I'm not hiding that we don't have wait lists. So the demand for sure.
Good.
So this is just giving you a really good snapshot of peak and non-peak pool usage if we do go down for more commercial swim schools. So you can see here like 3, 4 o'clock. These are 2024, 2025, and this year's the light green. That 3 o'clock, there's about 16,000 people that come through the door in that peak time, and it does trail off. We also do lessons during the day as well. Schools coming in, so 9, 10, that's quite busy as you can see there. But I think that's just a really good indication of where our peak times, if we're looking at adding more.
So that's just numbers through the door. Doesn't matter what they're coming in to do, commercial, private.
So they could just, that's any kind of admission into the pool.
17,000 visits at 3 p.m. Is that for that 1 week?
No, for the year.
I was going to say. I was thinking about the week. So
17,000 people.
that's what I was meaning. A lot of
That's
people.
for the year.
Single person in there.
Yeah, I know.
It's about 3 o'clock.
Peter goes for a swim.
At the wrong time.
Surge time or like on Uber.
Yeah.
I swim like a stone.
Well, this is
Sounds
just
like at the pool.
highlighting our peak after school. We are really busy, from our lanes to our learn to swim to public coming in here. So this, and the reason I put this up there is that if we do decide to go down the commercial, the real consideration is where do we put them? Where are they going to fit? The growth in our community is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we need a certain amount of lane space and pool space. So this is the balance of where we fit everyone in. Also, we've got the consideration of the public using the pool as well. Big juggle.
Did you not just say earlier on that there's no space at all available in Cromwell?
No, didn't know.
Oh, sorry, I misheard that then, obviously.
It's at a premium at some times though, as you can see.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, that's the wrong terminology. It's not, it's the same price. It's a little bit more full.
Where's the most public use of the pool?
Lap swimming in the mornings. Again, it's hit and miss. Sometimes we can have a full every single lane, and then the next morning there's no one there.
Just me.
It's just one person. But yeah, lap swimming.
That's good.
Lap swimming is also kind of there's no room for lap swimming when we've got swim club and things like that. We have one lane available. But it just depends, and like it changes all the time. We're out, especially even our aquafit and our older communities, that's growing and growing and growing, and we're getting 20, 25 people plus to our other programs. So it's quite steady. We do have a lull around lunchtime. Yeah.
There's some unrealistic expectations around, I want to go to the pool and have a lane to myself. Oh,
yeah.
you go to one pool, you never get a lane to yourself.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
We get
It's not
complaints.
just for you, David.
We get those kind of complaints all the time, or people are swimming and like, oh, it's too busy, and there's one person in each lane. So it's a
I think
very
there's some realities to a growing community. If you're a slow swimmer, there's a slow lane and there's a fast lane, and actually you're going to be swimming with other people.
correct.
And I think we've seen that manifest. We've had to update our how to swim in a lane signs. So
Lane
you know,
etiquette.
going clock- Yeah.
People just swimming straight down the middle. We've had people bumping
Yeah.
heads, the health and safety issues. So yeah, chaos. Yes,
With two people in a lane.
yeah.
That's right.
It's right. This is correct. And this slide I've just updated, and it's really hard to see, but this is just general bookings and what the pool looks like. I've taken that from this last week as well. Now, last time we met, there was said that sometimes the pool is dead. We've got no one in there, and I understand that. And sometimes during the middle of the day, I'll walk out, we have one person swimming, and then other times we've got schools in and clubs, and it's peaks and troughs. But at the moment, we have about 17 user groups across both pools, and that's from swim skills, swim clubs, private swim schools, in commercial swim schools, in Alex, kayak polos, general school swimming, aquafit, men's Mondays, women Wednesday, all sorts of things. So our programs have really gotten larger and larger over the last couple of years. And swim skills is the ones I was talking about, where the kids come in from the schools. We have in the winter, it dies down quite a bit, and then we have it every week at all the pools, January, February, all like that kind of thing. So it's just also highlighting that we have a lot going on in our pools. In certain times, other times it's quiet. I'm going to pass over to, or any questions or anything on how we're using our pool space or anything at the moment?
The outdoor pools open.
We are always aim for about mid-November to March.
Okay. So some of that, your graph of the take would in the summer, there would be the outdoor pool as well. Then now it's all in one pool.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just thinking about like we can extend the time you can use your outdoor pool by heating it, and that more opportunity.
Well, there's more opportunity for lane space as well, because for things too, like if we've got a pool 5 meter pool inside at Alex.
Yeah.
We've got the lanes outside in the
Yeah.
summertime as well. So that's a,
So we spoke to both Cromwell and Vincent on this, and we were looking for some direction on a few elements. The first one is, do we want to explore more commercial providers of private swim schools to come in? And there seems to be an inclination towards that, but there is a difference in how much scope and room that the boards would want them to have. So in the case of Cromwell, they were quite keen to see a larger level of commercial operation across the use of the lane space, whereas Vincent wanted to see much more protection of community space in the pools. So it really is the main piece of guidance we'll need from you today. At the moment, we've scoped out Carly's water space allocation guidance she uses. So I'll just run through it with you because we can revisit that at the policy stage. And that is to allocate 2 lanes to the public where possible. Priority 1 is learn to swim or education. Priority 2 is community sport and swim development. Priority 3 is community sport and leisure participation. Priority 4 is standard space hire. Priority 5 is elite space, and priority 6 is commercial operations. And that was designed based on what allocation gets the most people swimming. So that's the principle that the pools are currently using. We can revisit that to move commercial operations up to take the advice from Cromwell if you want. However, what Vincent suggested to us is that they would like to see an element of the commercial operations that are meeting learn to swim goals considered part of that priority 1 and no further change to that. And that did seem to make sense. But that is taking a really balanced approach between what Cromwell asked us for and what Vincent asked us for, right to the middle. If you have a tip towards more commercial allocation or more allocation to the public, that would change things a little bit for us.
I ask a question that's probably because I've still got my head partially stuck in the previous part of our council meeting, which captures exactly, this is a situation where a private swim school operator is not captured under any commercial rates. And they're getting a benefit.
Yeah, they pay a commercial rate.
They're paying a high rate, but does it actually capture that?
But we could look at that. That is definitely something that we could raise and have a look at, that if it is to be a swim school operation, we do have these extra requirements on health and safety there, which if we are having to do that could easily justify having to put.
Because that's, there's a bigger pushback from the Miniatatos anywhere. Billy Lang comes there, you've got an Olympic swimmer, Olympic coach, who's got a massive following, and the cost just gets dearer because he's got to have staff there and 2 lifeguards and all that. But and it's, they'll pay it, they are paying it, but it's actually, they find it quite anomaly that, you know, we have swim schools where the council do the swim schools, and we encourage, as a grant, every child in the Miniato learns to swim for free. But if you choose to have an upgrade, Billy Lang, then but he's having to pay a commercial rate and have the extra staff. Is that correct?
What's a commercial?
$30 an hour for a commercial hire. The staff are already there as well, so the lifeguards will be there regardless.
So $30 per lane includes the lifeguard,
Yeah, the lifeguards.
I think he was different hours though, wasn't he?
Stu's example has got to be a time where it's not fully staffed.
Yeah, if it's outside,
That's all I get.
out there, we do charge for staff.
And I guess my argument is that as long as we can cater for it, because there always sometimes, and it may can be 100% not true, that the private provider provides more opportunity than the council one. That may well be the case. Don't know. Don't say don't care, do care, but there's always got to be, I guess, the ability for commercially they pay, which will subsidise the ratepayer. And if there is a service that you want your child to go from here to there, there's an opportunity for someone to come along. Yes, so all I want is make sure that there's a balance and it doesn't interfere with the kids just going there and learn to swim and everything else, but it can be, if it can be catered for. It may not be able to.
Just on that, Stu, so it's $30 for a lane whether I book it to be in there with my kids or a commercial person books it.
No, so if you're making it for a profit, so if you're getting paid by the people that are coming to use your program, then it's $30. the lane
And
higher.
it's me booking it for my kids.
If it's you booking, it's a non-commercial $10 an hour. School group coming in for fun activities. They pay to come and use the pool as well, so they pay pool entry, but it's $10 an hour for them to come in and actually book that lane space.
Elaine.
We can do that. We can look at that and bring options on that. I'm not sure if the appropriate place is alongside this policy or on fees and charges, but we can address it. It does still leave us with a pool that has a fixed amount of lanes and everybody wanting to use it at the same time. And it sounds like there is a deal of comfort from you all and Carly continuing to manage that use and enable this operation as long as we are protecting the space and the hierarchy of needs, as we've said, and sticking to the goal of get as many people swimming as
Absolutely.
That's all we want, is to get as many people swimming as possible, learning to swim. But it's just that balance of, my worry is the growth over. We've already seen a huge amount, and where is it going, and what our pool space is going to do in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. How are we going to fit? Our swim school's going to get capped. Private swim schools, commercial swim schools, going to get capped because we just don't have the space.
And we have loads of space when you look at pools in
Overall.
cities.
Yeah.
And we were at Parakiori, whatever, in Christchurch. Their pools are chocker. There are so many more people in there. I think it's just our community's become used to, oh, well, when we go, there's only 3 people in our class, and often there's no one in the next lane. And as we grow, your experience at places like our pools and libraries will change because there's no people there. It's not going to be the same.
And
But it will have an impact on staff ratios and all of that sort of thing. You'll need to manage.
And what we're looking at is how we actually divide the space up. So for example, in Cromwell, the lanes in the winter swim pool, yes, how can we divide it up for the smaller kids? They don't have to swim so far, but we can fit more lessons this way than this way and those kind of things. So using our space that we have more efficiently. The question is, do we want more commercial providers in our facilities? How many per pool? And how are they selected? Is it just open up for anyone that can come and just book a space and can start a commercial swim school? So that's really what we're trying to get that feedback from you guys today as well.
From us, it's probably that, are we interested in commercial providers? Yes or no? And then actually in terms of how many and how you procure and all of that, I think that's probably more operational and doesn't sit at this table because you know how many you can fit in and what the requirements are. We don't know that, but it seems like from the community boards in here that there is maybe an appetite for some way, shape, form enablement of commercial providers using our space at the appropriate rate. But if people are not comfortable with that, now's the time to say so.
I think we've got to have them purely because of nature, what happens out that corner. And it also maybe allow for another level if private people want to enhance themselves. But in the same token, a lot of policies like what happened in our grants meeting the other day, I want to make sure that we've got the ability to fix those problems. We plunket, that we can. Because I know in our sports policy for the stadium use in Ramfully, under 15, all facilities are free.
Yeah.
And it goes on our grants, it goes on our, so, I think we've got to make sure we're flexible, that we can do a bit of everything. I know it's going to be a juggling act for you guys, but we're better off having the facilities being used, absolutely used, and everyone should have the right to learn to swim regardless of the wee tots or the adults in their 50s or 60s that, for the health and safety part of life, drowning process rather than the.
I guess the thing is that I agree, absolutely having people swimming is really important. Having ratepayers funding pool is one thing, because essentially we're funding to make sure that people are swimming and learning to swim essentially, but ratepayers should not be funding private commercial entities.
Take the
So
note on that.
that's the bit that there's something there that you.
And that's that commercial rate that you pay to hire the lane.
Bring that back to you when we bring you the policy, either with it as an option or where that option will be and where. Which will make us stick to that too. You had your hand up a couple of times.
It's all good.
I think there's 2 parts. Cromwell in the community board, our discussion was around what the pool can offer and what the council can offer. And without being rude, the council offering was terrible a few years ago, and you've stepped it up. And those figures are great now because we're seeing what you can do when you do it well.
We've got a meeting with the swim coach on Friday, triathlete with the Great Britain Olympic team triathlete who's looking at some coaching app things for us. So,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Matt?
yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Excellent. But our argument was that, like, you look at the peaks there, but there are still gaps. And one thing that I would like to formally ask is that can you go and get some feedback from the users? Because I know as a parent, you send out I've got 3 kids I'm trying to get into swim lessons and they're all at different levels. And you're right, I do want to come to the pool once if I can and stagger them. But I just get sent a thing saying, Tom's booked in at 5:20 on a Thursday, Chloe's booked in at 4 o'clock on a Monday. And that's great, you've got them in the right lesson, but feedback on maybe what times for those age groups would be good. Like I would be happy for my 10-year-old to swim at 7 o'clock at night. So maybe those lessons, maybe the snapper and up go later, but there isn't much tolerance in that schedule for things outside. Don't like say that 3 till 5 is hideous. I don't really want to swim 3 till 5 either because we've got so much on anyway. Like this term we're not swimming because we could not find a spot that worked.
Yeah.
If it's 7 o'clock, it's late, but it's just before bed, not the end of the world. Like I think we're not opening ourselves up enough to capture everything we can do, but then realising what we can't do. We shouldn't be scared of that private, like 100% take them on. But it's an operational, like I said, it's an operational decision to manage those times better, but we can also do better alongside them to complement each other. Like maybe they come in and only do one tranche of lesson type and then we do the other and we can cover, because I know we struggle with staff as well. So knowing what we can staff and knowing what levels we can teach, that could potentially be where your private providers actually complement what we do. But if we don't know that from the people that are using it, I said this in the community board meeting as well, you get to that level of whatever your top lesson is and then there's nowhere to get, they drop off if they don't go to swim club. Swim club's got, I think that had 4 nights, did it? In Cromwell?
Yeah.
That's huge, but we don't want to be swim club swimmers and there's nothing else.
David had a really good example for us recently. I think it was Maniatoda and people asking for the library to have some extended hours that they ended up not using. So to best answer your question, okay, when we come back with what we think is the best way to look at that scheduling and if it's to do a trial of a later night versus a survey versus how exactly to crack that exact question.
Yeah, because I think there is like you're right, there's periods in there that are horrible, but there's still plenty of opportunity to provide that. And we've got to look at whether we're trying to make money out of the pool or whether we're trying to provide that. And sometimes they don't always go together because like you say, like providing it for commercial, don't make it prohibitive for those commercial operators to run because at the end of the day, they're still providing a service. If you put them in the lane, literally where they're providing something we don't do very well, pull ours back a little bit and just do learn to swim through to snap it, whatever your last one is, I can't remember. You know, like do that and do it really well and let's be consistent. Because I don't think we're quite consistent enough still yet. So if we try and spread ourselves even thinner and like you say, one instructor's off, it's too big an effect. Let's just get the basics really good and open ourselves up and say, hey, this can be complementary.
That sounds
Because that's a really big, like it's not about grading where they come, because we're fearful of letting them in because they're going to take what we've got. And turning it around, saying actually they're more helpful because we can concentrate and get it really good, get a reputation that council is the prime opportunity for learn to swim. And then these other ones go into different blocks or complement that.
Neurodiverse.
Yeah, you know, whatever it is that we're teaching extra, let's just get the basics really well done and get a few years under our belt where we are doing it good. And the feedback's good. Is like, see, do one thing right and you'll tell the neighbour over the fence, you do something wrong and the whole street will know. It's true, you know, and council dropped off for a while. Council lessons, none of us came because it wasn't good enough. Now it is. You've got to build on that too.
Just we're still building on it.
Yeah.
That old reputation still follows me around.
But that's hard because that's the thing, you know, you have 1 year where, and it was pretty dire for that 1 year. And we all went, just it's a lot of money to be spending on a different instructor every week. So that continuity is really important. And like you say, a loss of one lesson on a Saturday morning there in Alex probably has quite a big effect. If it's down to one person, one staff member, let's just consolidate better and open up, whether it's times, people, whatever, but don't be scared of having that down check. But let's do the basics really well and get a good reputation and go from there.
Great, thank you. That's really good feedback. Don't think there was anything on the last slide we needed to cover. No, I think we've got the feedback we need. That does remind me that one of the notes from Cromwell was that they didn't see a 2-space minimum for the public as such a necessity. So although we'll try to leave this as is, Carly does have flexibility to look at that already. And we'll be back to you with a policy for consideration, a report on financing or when that will come, and the answer to that question we've just had now on if we can look at the hours and scheduling. Email us if you think of anything later.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good job.
Saying answer between 3. What we'll do is just take a quick 10-minute break and then come back for our Southern Waters statement of implementation.
And there's a light savoury snack.
So this one,
Good segue.
segue. I shared the slides. The slides is just the slice out of the statement of expectations. So with the water services entity, so with Southern Waters now, Bruce at the helm, Fiona, building the team for the transition. The next stage is they have to deliver by law a water services strategy. So many months in advance of standing up the entity, and then that'll go through a full auditing process. It's a 10-year plan. To help inform them on the water services strategy, the stakeholders representative group, which Taima and Cheryl are your members on, has to draft a statement of expectation. And so Bruce and his team have kindly started to prepare some of that work on behalf of the SRG. And so when the question came at the last meeting last Friday, when this was presented as part of the wasn't the workshop, it was actually the committee meeting of the SRG. Was it the first one or the second one?
First one. Well, it's the second. The first was just where they voted the chair and the deputy.
So this is the formal group of elected members to govern the board, provide that function as shareholders. And so the question was, when it comes to the enduring expectations, they had wanted each council to go away and just have a think about it. But just in a random list, they're not prioritised, but it would be helpful, the chair, it would help to them in their drafting of their water services strategy. You know, the priority, the stakeholder representative group sees those 7 enduring. Yes.
The same expectations are reserved in middle for shareholder councils or responsibility of the same judges.
SRG. It's been delegated to the SRG.
Yeah, I saw that.
But the expectation is that when it's drafted, the members from this council will come back and talk to it to the council, but it is
final. Yeah, it's delegated.
But it is delegated to them to make the decision day and night on that statement of expectations. So this is an opportunity. Just slowly scroll through the last slide. So enduring expectations, it covers 7 expectations there. Just keep sliding through. You've got the presentation, and really there was talk about can we either weight the 7, out of 100? You could, if you were to weight them out of 100, would you value customer and community over upholding treaty principles, or would you be able to prioritise them? One step, and noting that probably each council is going to have a slightly different view. Cheryl and I were just talking about this council's probably sees growth as being really important, whereas if you're in Clutha, water might be your priority as opposed to growth. She might not see much growth, but rural water schemes are pretty topical, and one of the challenges for them in coming into this process. So then the intent is, if we get through that, and I would think it would take us too long, it's more intuitive, and for you to have a chew around and I'll adjust as necessary, but we will feed that back into the next meeting, which is scheduled for July the 2nd, where the SRG will then have to have what's fed back from the 4 councils and then make a decision as to the relative priorities, so that the statement of expectation can be drafted a bit further based on where we land on that. So it's just part of the feeding in process that councils will do. Your 2 members could have done it, but I think generally speaking, it's better if we can engage the home councils in some of this process so that they feel that they're engaged and involved. So that's really the nuts and bolts of it. Cheryl, did you have any thoughts or comments? Because you were at the meeting.
No, just as to follow on from what Peter was saying, I think we have to be pretty careful because 2 of the other councils have already, in a way, highlighted their Achilles, which is rural growth. And that's not necessarily a problem for us. And it was pretty obvious also that they're not experiencing growth. And that in their minds, growth would be well down the pecking order. And it is something that we have and is we're experiencing and is quite high on ours. So I think that when I listened to the other members that spoke, I thought we're going to have to really push growth because it's not going to come out of any other council. That not of the representation around that group. So that's why I just really wanted to sort of highlight, I mean, and some of the other things that are, you know, financially sustainable in the health of our community, et cetera, that a lot of this is mandated anyway. So it's going to be, we have to achieve that, or Southern Waters has to achieve that. So realistically, we have to push what we want. And I'd hate to see growth not be amongst our top, if not our top priority. It has to be.
So do they have sub-regional in the water services delivery strategy? Will they have break it into sub-regions like?
Well, I think the water services strategy will have to show how it's going to deliver for the 4 shareholding councils over 4 years. And that'll have to go down into some, you know, a clarity about what it's doing, because it really is, it's the equivalent of our long-term plan, but for water.
Yes, but can they not, or can they break it into what's a focus area for?
Oh, yeah, and look, and we can make that, you know, that can be fed back in, and I'm sure Bruce and Fiona have got around the various schemes, understand that each council is slightly nuanced and unique in its circumstances. So they'll know that their water services strategy has to be seen to be delivering to everyone, but there still has to be a prioritisation, and this is part of that process to help them prioritise. Do they prioritise growth in a certain year because they know what's coming down our pipeline, or do they, you know? So it will help them make us.
And if they don't break it down into sub-regions, they would essentially hamstring our future.
Yeah, you know, it's no different than Aurora or any other utility.
Fair point. Good point.
It can't upgrade the post everywhere at the same time. It has to say we're going to do Upper Clifton now, then we're going to do. So
But also taking that further, this is going to be Southern Waters' problem.
That's what I mean.
If Central Otago is experiencing growth, Southern Waters are going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
here are the 7 enduring expectations, which will help guide the drafting of the water service strategy and of course our statement of expectations. But they just wanted council to say, can you tell us if you were to weight it or prioritise it, how would you land it? Where would you see? And look, happy to do it either way. Waitaki were keen on the weightings. If you do weightings, then it's 100%, and you couldn't have 7 or 14 or whatever it is. You've got to have you might have a 50, a 40, a 20, a 10, 5, whatever, or you just do straight prioritisation.
So we'll do this now.
Yes.
I've written some numbers beside them if you want me to read them out and then I mull over them. And then we can decide if you want to have it as 1 to 7 or weighting. So what I've written beside number 1 is the affordability, equity and value for money. On our, say is our priority.
I also think that's what it was, like if you go back to the consultation document, it was the founding pillar was, it was going to be cheaper. So. So more expensive, sorry, but in the long run will be cheaper than in-house.
Yes.
Yeah. No more expensive than
It's just about the only one, because the rest fall into line with everything else as a part of regulatory role.
Yes, so we'll work through that, but people are comfortable that the affordability aspect is priority number 1.
Yeah.
And then looking based on, you know, Cheryl's observations as well, we probably want to have growth as second. Yeah. Unless anybody wants to have an alternative view.
No, the only other safe, reliable, water resistant, but it should come into a normal process of a regulatory role anyway.
Which is why I had put number 3 as customer and community.
Yeah.
Because that's safe, resilient and environmental stewards, lots of that is legislatively required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still got to drive it.
Why not just being a regulatory requirement? Maybe, I'm just devil's advocate. But
Yeah.
It's my top three would have been affordability, growth, and then that safe, reliable.
Do we want to move that?
And I'm not saying do it.
We can. I think that this is the debate.
Need to acknowledge it because that's the whole point of why this is all being done,
Yeah.
isn't it? That the water is safe and reliable,
Yeah.
and we do have resilient infrastructure. Like they're almost two
As a
different things,
result of
aren't
that,
they?
your
So-
customer and your community will benefit.
Yeah.
Well, they're
all intrinsically linked, aren't they? 'Cause
Get all those right. The other
So
thing.
do you want to put safe, reliable, resilient number 3?
I'd say that was 3 because then your customer
Then
and
with
community are
customer
being
and
looked
community.
after there.
Yeah.
So, customer and community 4 or environmental stewards 4?
Yeah, we
Customer
think about
community.
customer community, doesn't customer and community sit over top of the whole lot?
Well, we
It kind of sits as an umbrella.
It's really just,
I mean,
we do it, that's that.
responsibility is thinking about customers and community. I mean, it's
the umbrella.
It's the complete umbrella. That's the reason.
4 all are.
Well,
Yeah, I go with the other way. Those 4 are above it and they feed into the customer and community.
And
Right?
it states Southern Waters is to be a customer facing organisation and must embed a culture that puts the customer.
Do we need to actually have that as a priority
Almost like
because
a
it's the
family.
function of the thing? You put that growth goes.
If you have affordable equity and value
Yeah.
for money, will you then have customer and community?
That's what I'm
Because if you get that right, that's wrong.
It ticks that box with everyone. You know.
We can say, look, we think that customer and community sits over the top of all of these.
It's a component
Well, I
of
think it's
every line.
embedded in all the other
Yeah,
ones.
it's a component of every line. It has to be. That's the whole point of doing it.
Doesn't say, otherwise.
Yeah, it's got to be higher than safe, reliable water.
Yeah.
Doesn't fit.
Well, it's
They're the same.
It's the same
I don't
thing.
reckon it's a standalone. It's an all.
It's not a standalone to
We
me.
can take it out and say that's not standalone, that is in every.
Yeah, we'll put it on the.
Take it out?
The others.
Yep.
Well, no,
Backbone of
we're
everything.
going to make a note,
It's embedded.
embedded in every.
But it is intrinsically linked to everything because that's who you're doing it for. None of this exists without those.
The customer of the
Yeah,
community.
so
It is safe.
it is the backbone of it.
So, and they want to be able to provide for growth.
Customer and the community wants us to look after the environment and live.
And those things.
So if we've got affordability, then growth, then safe, reliable, resilient water, what's going to come after that?
Well,
Or something else?
your rural water, because you've got a large rural entity picking up the
For us,
rural water schemes and Cromwell, that is massively important.
When they say rural water, we're talking about something different from Waitaki
Yeah.
and Gore and.
Yeah,
Davis.
we're talking about St. Athens.
No, we
No.
don't have rural water schemes like what they have.
It's non-reticulated, but it's
Well, give you, your rural water scheme?
No.
irrigation
Still
company.
not, it's straight out of the irrigation roads.
Yeah.
So,
Really.
so what the four, you've got customer services, safe, reliable, affordable and growth. They're.
Oh, you're talking about the Miller's Flat one.
Miller's Flat, sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Affordable equity and value for money, 1. 2 is growth. 3 is safe, reliable and resilient water services. 4 is the debate where we are now because we've got customer and community.
We're saying there is no
embedded in every
four.
corner.
Yeah, so what is 4? Is 4 the environment?
Yeah.
That's
And then,
Then your rural water and treaty obligation, because they must come into the process of all of the above. If you're going to a water entity with your resource management or whatever, they're all part and rank anyway. I mean.
Yeah. Waiting on them? Do you have to?
no, we don't. We
No,
can say once we
We
get it.
go once, but they,
Maybe those
Waitaki
three,
had suggested a waiting.
maybe those last three, got rural water, environmental and treaty. They're a grouping in itself that kind of all ties in together as well.
Because you
Well,
got, you
they
can't,
won't say rural water ties into those 2 other things.
How not?
They're quite a different scheme.
Okay.
the rural water, so take me through, what is rural water then?
It's stock and it's humans. And
But
so
it's council run.
council,
So we don't-
council owned,
Yeah, we don't
run by
have-
community.
However,
We don't have them though.
We
No, we don't have them.
Yeah.
So.
So we get confused when we talk rural water, all ours are private. Essentially, they have one like, Clutha, they have the West Targa one,
Yeah.
which supplies stock
So-
water and drinking
So I
water.
guess I'm just coming from another angle here. If the minimum flow becomes a part of the catchment and the Clyde or whatever of a water scheme that has drinking water on it, is that a rural, does it affect us? If we go take the Cardrona River, if we were there, or we take the one up Danzy's Pass and water schemes come out of it, does minimum flow as a part of all the other stuff capture us in a rural water scheme?
Well, according to Julie, we do have some responsibility for schemes that aren't part of.
Not yet. I mean, we have to stock take them and identify them all.
Yeah, sorry, but if they were to fall over and
If they
cease
fall
to
over,
exist, it would become our.
They become council's responsibility.
So do they become council's responsibility or Southern Waters don't?
Well, technically, they become council's responsibility the way it's written at the moment.
Yeah.
But then we'd be working closely with Southern Waters to say.
So I sort of go there, yes, it's not something we have at the moment, but I think it's something we need to have an eye on. as a council. But then anyway, this is different to that, so, yeah.
Yeah, this is, let's take it.
Do you want to, so at the moment, we've got 1 affordability, 2 growth, 3 safe, reliable, 4 environmental stewards, 5 rural water and 6 treaty principles, which kind of links to customer and community because it does tie into all of those things. However, do we want to, so we've prioritised them 1 to 6, but do we want to give like those top 3 a bigger rate, bigger rank and, you know, say actually,
But they are key.
Can you just assign your 100% to the top 3 alone?
Well, I think you'd have to, you know, if you ever do.
No, split it up.
An investment logic map, you've got 100, cut that up into a pie, and that gives you a weighting. So you might save, and if affordability is number 1, that might be 30, 40 on your ranking. It has to total 100.
Yeah.
So
So
it
what
might
I'm saying is, can you just give the 100 to the top 3 and then?
yeah, we've got to count.
Yeah.
But they could, because we do think that they are in the grand scheme of things. And we've also got to note that we need to be enabling Southern Water to succeed on behalf of all of.
But the point is that we turn around and say that rural water is a 5 and treaty obligations are a 5. Some people come in and go, well, what do you care? You're not even caring about, you understand the treaty. You're not even caring about rural water, but they're massively important, but they shouldn't be weighted in that level.
Would you want to leave it as 1 to 6?
Well, I do. Yeah, it'll be all that other stuff will come out. I mean, I understand what Ken's saying, but I don't want to be sitting there going, well, someone can hold that on. You know, these guys.
However, I think picking up with what Peter's saying is that if we don't give a direction as to where we think the most important parts are given a percentage wise, then we're leaving this open.
Well, no, we're not, because we're saying what is
Well, a
important.
priority, but if we give it a weighting, I mean, it's a bit as if, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you know, we talked about this when we looked at our procurement side of things, and we adjusted that for what we wanted the affordability factor to feature, and we went up there. Is this along those similar lines where?
Well, not really, because we're not
really.
It's not a procurement
No.
plan. It's just saying to Southern Waters, these are our priorities.
Yeah, okay.
And we put affordability and growth as the top 2. I guess it'd be different if we were going to say we want to give 35% to affordability and growth, 35% each, and then we're just going to scatter the rest. And then it makes it look like we don't care at all about environmental stewardship, where we actually do. So maybe 1 to 6 is a benefit for us.
Yeah, I think so, because otherwise, it's a public meeting, we start changing around, there'll be people saying, they don't care about rural water, it's a major part. And then the next discussion, some people won't be able to differentiate between setting the minimum flow of the Menhura and water schemes or water and Clutha or Waitaki, so I think we've got it.
And noting that it's 1 to 6 because Peter's put a note beside community and
Customer and community.
Oh, look, he's done something real fancy. He's put it out to the side, so it's one big box on its own covering all of them.
And explaining why we
You're
didn't
such
go,
a technological whiz, Peter.
and explaining why we didn't use the weightings.
It doesn't matter.
I need to.
No, you don't
It's
need
there's
It's ours.
2 options at the
That
top.
was Waitaki's.
So if Waitaki do, if some people do weighting, some do prioritisation, how do you put it together?
You don't have to put it together because it's just a guide for Bruce.
Yeah, it was
So
really
it's not.
him asking for, he just wanted some guidance, some.
Oh, yeah, I can, but could you pass me the dongle? Who's got
Just to give him,
That direction.
yeah.
Rightio.
Very good.
Last for one or the other.
And you're gonna have to show it, and this is my picture.
It's really just
What was that one?
You know, where the kids say, and this is my picture.
Oh, yeah.
That's-
Way over.
Why have we not seen that way?
That's because I haven't, these need to be discussed. There you go.
Okay, so there it is. So there's your
It's actually picking on
1 to
that somewhere.
6. And customer and
Yes.
community, you know, are equal across all 6, I guess, or a portion across all 6 or whatever. It's been while they're in. So we'll learn it. Everyone's comfortable with that? Well, we'll feed that back into the team and it'll be for at the next stakeholders representative group where all 4 will come in and then they'll work their way through. Excellent. Thank you very much. That's it.
That's it for our public workshop. We just got a quick catch up with Dylan. We've all got to wish Tracy well as she buys a 2-for-1 tractor deal at Field Day.